Hi, welcome to another video with me, Tanya Ross of TDR Academy of Movement and Therapy. So this stretching video, we're going to be working on primarily getting into all around the hips and the low back, but we are going to bring in also just a bit of forearms. So depending on how your joints and things feel in through your hands, we will give modifications, but just, be in tune with yourself and just do what feels good. So we're going to get started. So we're going to bring you just into a sitting position before we bring you down onto the floor. So get yourself set up, whatever else that you need. If you need a belt or if you need blocks and pillows handy, it's always good to have them near your practice area so that whenever you're in a position, if you feel you need a support or a prop, then it's there for you. So get yourself ready and we're going to bring you down onto the floor. So allowing your body to make a full connection to the floor. Allowing the legs to lengthen out if you can. Allow the body to lengthen out and the back of the neck. Allow the arms to rest by your sides with the palms facing up to the ceiling, and maybe the hands drift out away from your sides a little so that you feel, again, a little bit more connection to the floor with the shoulders. And allow your eyes to close. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, let the breath go. And notice with each breath that you take, what you can do with that in terms of almost controlling the amount of tension in your body. As you breathe in, it can fill a certain amount of tension. But as you breathe out and you let go, maybe you notice that you are holding on to tension and that you can let something sink a little bit deeper into the floor, almost letting go. Half the battle sometimes is that awareness of holding on to tension, and sometimes you don't even know until you take that time out to slow down and to think about every specific area. Noticing the legs. Taking that deep breath in. And as you breathe out, can you let go of anything more through the legs to let them be more connected to the man underneath? And then notice around the mid-body and up into the shoulders. As you take an in-breath, how much can you take that breath in? And as you breathe out, how much can you let go of? Letting the rib cage fall heavy to the floor underneath. And then notice the arms. Letting the arms relax, letting them go. But take a deep breath in. It might feel like it brings a little movement into them, and as you breathe out, again, can you let them drop towards the floor a little more? And then noticing in through your neck. Taking that deep breath in. And as you breathe out, can you find a little bit more space and connection? Space at the back of the neck and connection with the back of the head to the floor. Just to notice in your body on the whole, is there anything else that you're holding on to? Taking a deep breath. And as you breathe out, can you let go of one more layer of tension? And then slowly, just allow the arms to start to creep overhead. Allow the legs to lengthen, stretching through the toes, stretching through the heels. Figuring out which one feels better for you. And then allowing the arms to draw down, allowing the knees to bend up. And as they draw in, plant the heels underneath the knees. We're going to take it into shoulder bridge. Keeping that sense, that check, if you like, that the back of the neck feels nice and long. In breath, and as you breathe out, curling, flat back, lifting the pelvis, rolling the hips up and off, and lengthening through the knees. And then slowly, again, drawing those hips down to the floor as you lengthen the spine away from the head. Taking it through, we'll take another 4 through there, just taking your time to feel that rolling through the spine and to find the extra length wherever you can. Almost imagining that every movement that you make, you're trying to pull whichever the lowest vertebra is away from the one above it. The knees might be waggling about, and it's almost just allowing them just to not force them in any position, but not too much movement, but they don't have to be purely fixed. We're just treating it like a gentle back mobility. And then as you bring it back down after your 5th one, draw the knees in. Take a hug. Allow the back to lengthen out, and we'll rock up the knees side to side. And then pop the hands one onto each knee. Feet are together, but they're going to drift apart. So take the knees open and wide. We're going to pause there just for a moment. So it's a very wide leg position, almost like frog, so that the feet are apart. Okay. And then let the arms lengthen so the knees take away. So maybe a little bit more weight wants to drift to the tail. But keep the tummy muscles drawn in to keep the back flat. Draw the knees in together and then pull them in towards you. So again, take that little pause as we open the knees. And then let them drift a little bit further away. So we're kind of hitting 2 angles of frog with that. And then draw them in together and back in. So we're going to take one more with a pause. So again, opening the legs wide. And then letting the knees drift a little bit away. And then drawing the knees in together and back in. Take one more full circle all the way around. And then we're going to reverse the direction. So again, let them lengthen with the knees together, arms long. Take the legs wide. So again, we're going to pause there. So you're opening. And then allow the arms to bend, drawing the knees in a little bit closer, but legs still wide. And then draw the knees in together and lengthen the arms. And then take it wide, again, that little pause. And then draw it in. And then bring the knees in together. So we're going to take one more with a pause. So again, as you've opened wide, arms are long. And then bend the arms, draw them a little bit closer. And then draw the knees in together and then take a full circle all the way around. So take a hold of the feet from there. And wherever you need to hold on to, we've taken it into butterfly. So you can let the feet come apart. They don't have to be super glued together. So let the arms kind of press against the inner thighs a little bit so that it presses the knees open again. But you've just brought that little bit of external rotation into the thighs. And allowing the body position to stay long. Let the head roll from one side to the other. Try to encourage it to relax. Shoulder blades are, even though they're pressing, the elbows are pressing wide on the knees, you're still plugging the shoulders down into the sockets. And then draw the head back into center. And then we're going to pop the legs in together, just a little hug, and then release the feet to the floor. So from there, just take a windscreen wiper, rocking the knees one side to the other. That sense of keeping a little draw in through the tummy, so you're not completely relaxed. There's always that little security belt around the midline. Okay, so we're going to draw it in this time into a cross-legged hug. Okay, so it's not figure 4, there isn't a gap between the knees, so you're going to hug them in tight. So right leg on top of the left, so as if you're sitting cross-legged, and then just hug that first knee in towards you. And it might feel like as you're hugging it in towards you that you maybe even want to press it slightly towards the opposite shoulder. but it should be a bit of a stretch on that right outer hip somewhere. Okay, yeah. So you're holding it in through there, but essentially you are trying to relax, but your posture is always long, so there's always a sense of lengthening through the tailbone. And imagine that you're still using your breath as a focus. So it's not that you have to be really intentional and deep breathing. You're just using that sense that every time you have an out breath, can you let go of some tension? And it might be in the target area that we're stretching, or it might be just anywhere in the body, because you can grip anywhere. And you might find that if you release anywhere else, that it helps you relax in that area too. So we're going to slowly switch it from there. So we're going to take it into that figure of 4. So you can pop the foot across the knee, flexing through the foot. Now whether you just want to hold on to the ankle and you're active with the leg that's supporting the figure of 4 leg. So imagine that you're not trying to crank the knee out, you're just holding it in position as you almost try to pull that lower leg towards you. Okay. So it's just a little bit of activity to help draw it closer. Again, hopefully feeling it somewhere in the outside of that right hip. And the intention is not to make it really strong. It's just a subtle little stretch, hopefully around there. And then slowly from there, slide it back into that cross-legged position. And then hugging the knee in again, but allow the knee, so your right leg is going to go over to the right. If it feels better for you to have the left foot on the floor, you can go there. We're going to take it into a bit of a twist. So you can decide whether they stay up and they go across, so it takes it into a deeper twist, or whether the foot catches you a little bit early. Now as you take it over, the legs are going to the left, but I want you to use your left hand to your right knee, and your right arm goes out to the side. So it's trying to help stabilize the upper body, twisting in the opposite direction. And you can look towards the right. Taking it again, a few just natural breaths, just noticing them in and out. And the core still having a little bit of activity in through there, so it's just an awareness that it's not completely relaxed. And then slowly drawing in through the tummy to help draw you back in. Now we're going to keep it there, but we're going to go to the other side. So legs aren't changing, so you're going to let the legs move over. So again, whether you want them up high to take it across, or whether you want that left foot to catch you early as you take it into the twist. So it's just going to start to bring it into the left outer thigh a little. And again, your legs then are going to the right, but your upper body, you're looking to the left. Okay, so relaxing the upper body. So essentially it's almost like the right leg is trying to press the left leg down. So there's a little bit of activity in through the legs with it. What can you let go of? What are you holding on to tension-wise? And then slowly drawing in through the belly button, pulling the back onto the mat to draw the legs back in. And then we're going to plant the foot down, feet down onto the floor. And from there, just take a couple of pelvic tilts just to move through the lower back a little bit between those stretches. And then find your way into that mid position again. So from there then we're crossing the left leg over the right, so that cross-legged position, and then hugging that first knee in towards you. And again, once you bring that first knee in towards you, maybe you're aiming that left knee towards the right shoulder, so you can give a wee nudge maybe in that direction if that feels helpful. And the lengthening of the tailbone, so maybe everything is tightening up through the core and the shoulders. Can you let the shoulder blades relax? Can you let the core, and I don't mean fully switch off, but to relax? It's not gripping. There's just a sense of something really low level being engaged. Lengthen through the tail. And if it feels like you're tensing through the neck, feel free to let the head rock a little bit from side to side to try to encourage you to let go of anything in through the neck. And then slowly from there, we're going to transition into your figure of four. So drawing that foot a little bit further back. And again, once you take it in, that flexed foot. So you're using that non-figure four leg to pull towards you, holding on to the ankle or to the foot, and you're just giving a little bit of a draw of that foot towards you. So they're both trying to help encourage that foot towards the shoulder. Somewhere, hopefully, stretching through that outer glute. Again, what can you let go of? Where can you release a little bit of tension? And then slowly releasing. We're going to keep that figure of four on, but we're going to bring the leg to the right, both legs to the right. So either the right foot is on the floor and the legs are going to the right, or you can have the legs in the air so that you get a deeper twist. So it's just figuring out in your own body what level that you need to go to. And that stretch again, somewhere around that outer hip, but also into the ribs, maybe into the back. And as the legs go to the right, the head looking towards the left. And then to draw you back into center again, engaging tummy muscles pulling in. And as we come back over again, so we're still continuing, but we're going to cross the legs as we take them over then to the other side. So again, as you take them over to the left, it's the left leg is almost kind of harnessing that right leg to pull it down to bring the stretch into the right outer hip. The eyes, the head can look towards the right. And again, whether you went higher, whether you stayed low to the floor, just whatever level feels like it's an appropriate stretch on that outer hip. What can you let go of? And then slowly again, starting to draw in through the belly button to help draw the pelvis back into center. Plant the feet down, and this time taking the full shoulder bridge again, so heels underneath the knees, and then slowly rolling it up, finding that length, send it through the knees, and then slowly roll back down again. Taking one more just as that release. Okay, so then from there, allow the feet just to go a little bit wider and take that windscreen wiper just to soften out through those outer hips. A little press down with that knee that crosses the center line. Press down. Okay, so we're going to bring you into your pretzel. So you can bring it onto your side. Okay, so if you want a pillow in, you can pop a pillow in. But we're going to use top hand to the bottom ankle, okay, or foot. So you're going to try to take it into your quad stretch. So you're bringing it in behind. And then from there, that top leg, so it it can be resting on the floor, higher, lower, whatever length that it needs to go to. And from there, so if you want to have a little bit more of like a twist in through the back, and it's a little bit softer in the quad, unless you pull it really far behind. So that's still going to get you into that twist. Whereas if you roll a little bit more onto your front, then it's a little bit more about trying to open up that back quad. So whether with a pillow or just wherever your arm needs to be to support the head. And that top leg as such could be opening up a little bit more, just depending what feels like it gives you that appropriate stretch on that underside leg. Okay, and what else can you let go of as you're resting there? Whenever you feel like that starts to ease back, you can release through that foot and bring you over onto your back. And from there again, just allow just a couple of pelvic tilts, just flattening and arching, just to allow that little bit of release, depending on if there's a bit of a twist on there. Finding that sense of that mid position between the two. So then from there again, you're taking it onto your other side. So again, that top hand is going to that bottom ankle or foot. You're pulling the leg behind. So if you're lying more on your back, okay, then again, it's going to be more of a rotational stretch, but still getting a bit of the quad. But if you want to take it a little bit further forward, so that front knee, again, can lift up higher and slide further out to the side. And again, in that position, hopefully it's that point at the front top of the hip that you're getting that stretch in. Finding your level. Every so often, just again coming back into that notion of trying to let go, trying to relax. What are you holding on to in the ribs, in the tummy, in the shoulders and in through the neck? What can you release? And whenever it feels like, again, you start to release in the front of that thigh, we're going to release and rejig onto your back again. And again, just a couple of pelvic tilts, just as that low back release. Okay. So we're going to take a hold of one knee and roll it up into seated. So with this one, you need a wee bit of space, okay? So we're going to bring you, and depending on how strong this is going to be, you might have the leg a little bit closer to the other leg, or it might be into that right angle. So where we're going to go, okay, is we're going to let the body kind of lean onto the elbow on the straight leg side, and then you're going to try to lie back. So it's going to drop that leg into a deeper internal rotation. So the further the knees are together, the softer it is. The further that leg is behind, because your body position is going to come back, it's going to be quite a deep knee bend. So it's going to be stronger down through the front of the thigh. So you might need pillows in behind you or whatever, or else maybe you allow the legs to readjust. So you can always, straight leg side, you can always bring it in or let it lengthen. So again, each variation within this can feel a little bit different. So it's finding where you can get to. And if it feels like you can't go down, you can stay on elbows, okay? So it's feeling your way through it to see where can you get to. This is definitely where your breath can come in quite important. So trying to let the body relax. Again, wherever you feel like you're holding on to tension to, this isn't going to be like in yoga, we're not going to be here for a long period of time. But just try to see, can you release a few layers? Can you let go of something that feels like it's gripping into this position to let it settle? And then whenever we're ready to draw out from there, you're going to be rolling onto your side, aiming towards the straight leg so that it takes you a wee bit away from that leg, and you can either come up on the elbow, or if it feels like you can release the leg, you can release it. We're going to take it on to the other side. So again, the leg out straight, the other leg bent. So again, less of a stretch, knees closer together, stronger with the knee further back. On the straight leg side, you're leaning towards the elbow there and then trying to drift. So whether it's onto elbows or wherever you can get to. And that sense of trying to experiment. What do you need to do? Do you need to change the straight leg? Do you need to move it? Do you need to bend it? Find where you need to be. And again, those layers of tension, taking those few breaths to try to see what else can you let go of in this position. What might be gripping and tensing? Is it the shoulders? Is it the hips? Is it just the thigh? We're trying to help encourage a release through it. And very slowly then to draw out of it. Again, starting to roll onto the elbow on the straight leg side to draw it up, or to free the obscure leg. Okay, so we're going to bring you into a wide leg position. So we're going to start to bring this into the sides. So in terms of the position, you choose how wide you want the legs to go. So no matter which version that you're in, you're still going to get a stretch in the side. It's whether you want to bring a little bit more of a stretch into the legs as well. So you can go narrower. The main thing is that we're adding in rotation and a side bend with this. Okay, so whatever range of movement that works for you, trying to sit up nice and tall with the posture. If it feels useful, you can always lengthen through the heels so that it tries to keep the legs a little bit more fixed, but it does add a wee bit more stretching through the calves and the back of the legs. So we're going to take you just little rocks side to side. Okay, so it's just kind of moseying into the position. But as you mosey in, imagine you're also moseying forward. So you're trying to encourage just a relaxed, almost kind of mobilization. Maybe that starts to circle and sort of swoosh around.
Swoosh.
Swoosh. And the legs are just trying to keep their length. Okay, so hopefully that just starts to get those, especially the inner thighs, just a little bit more used to that position before we shock them into the full stretch. So we're going to take it over. You choose which side you're going to start with. So you can slide the hand down if you want to use it as a bit of a support point. Okay, hand can be in behind the head, or it can be up and over. Okay, and each time we're kind of taking it into that stretch, I want you to imagine that you're really elongating through that top side. The bottom side is still trying to lengthen. So with the pelvis fixed in place, it's going to start to pull into the likes of your deep low back muscles. And as we add in the arm, it pulls into your lats, which also connects down into the low back. But that amount of rotation, so again, like we would sometimes play within alternating stretches and standing, then sometimes if you angle it in a different way, it's going to pull it into a slightly different part, and only you know how that feels to you, whether it feels good to go a little bit more angled as if you're trying to look up to the ceiling, or maybe does it feel better to you to angle and almost turn the chest a little bit more towards the floor. So wherever that may be, wherever it feels like it's pulling into the back. And if you feel it more in the shoulder, you can always lessen the arm off and then try to, it's like whenever you take one part out of it, you might become more aware of the level of stretch in the other part, so that one doesn't take over the other. but it's setting the level of stretch in the back, and then you can add in the arm to it to see if that takes it to a nice area of stretching, or just go beyond. Just go beyond. So just try to find that boundary. So again, just taking that little notion of trying to almost remove a couple of layers of tension, and it might be somewhere, maybe it's through the feet, maybe it's through the legs. And then once we are ready to come out, we're going to try to allow the body to rotate to the leg that we've stretched to. So maybe trying to bring one hand on either side of that leg, or if you want to add a little bit more like juice into the shoulder, maybe trying to take the hand across. So you can decide where you want to add the stretch to. So bringing it more into the shoulder might take it a little bit away from the back, whereas maybe trying to reach a little bit further forward with that hand might give you a little bit more of a pull into the low back. So it depends where you need to feel it. And again, using that thought with the breath, what is it doing? Is it allowing you to settle in, maybe strip back a layer of tension? And then slowly, we're going to walk the hands back in, and then slowly allowing the back to lengthen. Taking out the rotation, we're just going to come into those little mosey movements again. So just that little rock side to side, because giving you a sense of how one side feels to the other. And then those little swooshes around. Okay, so whenever you feel like you've done enough smooshing, all of that. So then we're going to bring you onto the other side. So you can have the hand just to the inside of that other leg. So again, whether you slide it down, first of all, to get that sense of the stretching through the back, and then you can decide about adding in the arm, to what level. Maybe it takes it up and over to add in more around the shoulders. So again, it's trying to get that sensation awareness of where do you feel it. If I add in another part, does it take it beyond? Does it just add to it nicely? Finding it in your own body. And then again, when you find that, decide whether, do I want to rotate a little bit more up towards the ceiling, or do I want to rotate a little bit more towards the floor? So again, experimenting with them, a little bit of movement in each of them, just to give you a sense of where the stretch feels best. And wherever that is, that's where you're going to hold. And just as you're breathing, noticing, can you let go of maybe a little bit of tension in the legs? Maybe in the shoulders as well. And then slowly starting to bring the arms down, and we can start to rotate towards that straight leg that you're aiming at. So again, taking it into position, and whenever you get there, so deciding on that level of stretch, where do you feel it? Do you want to have it more as a long reach, or do you want to have it more reaching across? So again, decide in your own body, where does it feel like it's a better place for you to be? And if you've been able to let go of a few layers of tension that may have been there, then slowly starting to walk the hands back. Just take it slow. Muscles sometimes can be a little bit stiff after they've been lengthened. So again, we'll just take that little mosey side to side, just again to get the low back used to a little bit of movement. And then again, swooshing around. Okay, so then we're going to draw the legs in. Okay, so we're going to do one more for the legs, but these are still kind of crossing over into the back. So we're going to take pigeon, but we're going to do it lying down. Okay, so once we get into position, so working with the right leg first, left leg can be bent. You're going to be using your right hand to the right knee and you're pressing it towards the left shoulder. So it's coming across first of all. Then you're going to try to take a hold of the outside of that leg. If it feels like it's too far, you can always use a strap, to loop it around. But you're trying to take that foot as if you're steering it down towards the outside of that left shoulder. So it's like your steering rod, but you're really trying to keep that knee pushed across first of all, and then the steering rod is second. So you have to decide when you're stretching this that it's hopefully in and around that right glute somewhere. Doesn't feel like you need to add in straightening the left leg. So that's going to deepen the stretch more. So again, each of them are levels that you can kind of pick through to see what is the level for you that feels appropriate to get that stretch in, hopefully heading into those deep glutes. So yeah, so it's making sure that right hand to the right knee and it's pushing it across to the opposite shoulder. And then you're taking a whole left hand to right foot, and then you're trying to, again, maneuver that foot maybe a little bit more towards the left shoulder. The left leg can be either bent or towards straight, anywhere in there that it feels like it just homes it into that hip. Very often the body position can tense on this one. So yes, your arms are working, to a certain extent the legs are active. And very slowly releasing, taking the foot down onto the floor. Then again, maybe just a windscreen wiper before we take it to the second side, in case there's any residual stiffness. And then we're going to bring it onto the left leg. So again, left hand to left knee, taking the left knee towards the right shoulder, wherever you feel you can get to with it. And then the foot is flexed, you're taking a hold with the right hand to the left foot. And again, it's your steering rod. So the knee in position first, then the steering rod to try to get it into that area in the glutes. And then you can decide, do you need to bend or straighten that right leg? So again, finding where it needs to go to get that stretch quite focused into your glute. Again, what can you let go of? Every pose can bring a certain amount of tension. So trying to figure out what can you let go of that's not necessary. And then slowly, whenever you're ready, releasing through that leg again as you plant it down to the floor, taking whatever width you want with your feet, whatever feels like it's useful, and just those little rocks again side to side. Okay. So from there, again, we're going to take a hold of a knee, rock it up. And we're going to bring you onto hands and knees. So from here, we're going to take it into kind of the wrists and into the forearms. So you don't have to put a lot of weight on the hands. So you can kind of drop your weight back a little bit so that you're not fully weight bearing, or you can keep weight on the hands. So you can decide. So we're going to start just with a bit of movement through the hands. So fingers are pointing forwards to start with, but then we're going to turn them, fingers pointing out to the sides. We're just going to keep moving. So then fingers pointing forwards and then pointing out to the sides. So you're kind of rocking from one to the other and just switching. Now when you turn your fingers out to the side, I want you to go further. So it's as far around as you feel that those fingers can go. And you have to adjust your body weight a little bit. So you can decide how much weight you want to put on them. If it feels easier for you to stagger the legs, you can do, so that you can control pushing your body weight forward when you come into that position, because the further back it goes, the stronger the stretch is. So you can control that, and with the staggered leg, it'll just give you a little bit more balance. Then we're going to turn the fingers forwards again. We're going to come back around again, so turning the fingers outside and back, and then forward. So you just keep moving between those two positions, turning, just to get them used, because it is quite a strong position. So we're going to hold this one. So as you take it all the way through, as far around as those fingers can go, again, you can control how much body weight is forward, how much is back. And as you're holding through there, just noticing the stretch. As it adds an intensity that feels like that's a good thing to hold.
Which idea was this?
Well, it's good, because even in mine at the minute, like I can feel something kind of fizzing. Yeah. And sometimes it can be a nervy thing, you know, because the position we're in is quite a strong position. But sometimes those muscles don't get stretched very often, so they can feel a wee bit kind of crampy. So then we're going to turn them to face forwards. So again, you can come off them, just give them a little bit of a shake out. Okay. So we're going to go the other direction this time. Okay. Again, just getting the body used to the positions, we're going to kind of walk in through them. So starting with the fingers turned forwards, then they're going to turn inside, so the fingers are pointing together. You can just have the knees again just comfortably apart on this one. So fingers pointing forwards and then fingers turning in. And with this one, the temptation is that the shoulders are going to go up to your ears. So just keep a wee notion that the shoulder blades are down the side seams again. So then we're going to start to take it a little bit further. So this is where, when you're coming through with this one, this one always looks really wrong with the arms. So whenever we're turning in, it just doesn't look quite right. But I want you to go as far as you feel like you are comfortable with, okay? And then come back out. So again, turn them all the way in. Keep that little notion of the shoulders down the side seams. Just take your time with it. Turning in, turning forwards. Turning in, turning forwards. We're going to take one more, but then we're going to stay there. So when you turn them in again, so you're going to stay there, okay? So it's as much or as little weight again. If it feels better for you to stagger, you can. But as you're holding there, if you allow the elbows to bend, it'll take the pressure away from your wrists. If you try to straighten the arms more, it'll put a deeper stretch into everything. So again, you can decide if you want to offload a little bit of weight, you're using the legs staggered, so you just put a little bit of less weight into the arms. But that sense of lengthening hopefully brings that stretch. And you might feel like your arms are trying to twist back out of that again. And that's about right, because they are. And then slowly release, fingers turn forwards. And again, just give them a little bit of a shake out. Okay.
Could that be sore as well as stiff?
So it's your version of pain, you know, so certainly even in terms of what I'm feeling, like it is quite uncomfortable through the wrists. Because no matter what, you are putting a bit of pressure, you are challenging those tissues with weight bearing, and you know, I wouldn't call it pain, but it's definitely much more than a stretch. So, but it's not, it shouldn't be at a level that feels like it's not good, you know. So like I can sit with that to get the stretch, as opposed to, oh, that's quite sore, like I need to come out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so because we don't often spend a lot of time there, but what it is trying to get is the stretch through there, but at the same time we're getting compression on the other side, and because of that, then that can be uncomfortable. So if you want to bring yourself into a comfortable seated position, so whenever you feel like you're going to be able to just sit with for a moment, okay? So whether it bolsters, pillows, blocks, And whatever height, so you don't have to necessarily sit with the legs in hero pose the way I am. You can sit cross-legged, you can sit with the legs in butterfly. So it's just whatever feels that you can kind of almost kind of switch off the bottom half of the body. You don't really have to think about it too much, but you do have an awareness that you're lifting up from your sit bones. So we're going to bring the hands in together, okay? So you're not going to have as much body weight pressing into these. This is your own kind of strength, but just be mindful of not letting this happen. Try to keep the shoulders down. So you're going to lower it down. Now you will feel the heels of the hands come apart, and that'll be the difference. When we're on the floor, that can't happen. So you're trying to drop the heels of the hands down, and as you drop them down, it feels like a very proud position, but you're trying to keep the connection. So you're pushing them together, and that hopefully again should feel like it's a stretch, but it won't feel as sore potentially as the, hopefully, as the other ones that we've just done. So then from there we're going to change it slightly. We're going to angle the fingers pointing down, and then we're going to pull up. So you're still pressing the hands in together, still trying to keep the shoulders out of the ears as you try to pull up. So that's going to bring the stretch into the forearms again. Okay, and then slowly releasing from there and give them a bit of a shake. Okay. So that hopefully has kind of worked everything through there, but we're just going to take the opposite. So I want you to just make a little bit of a fist and then roll the knuckles under and then lengthen through the arms. So that should stretch hopefully the opposite, so that hopefully feels nice after you've been doing the other ones, just to give you a bit of space. Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether, like, you can play with this, like if you roll the palms up, maybe it feels different to rolling under, because again it just hits slightly different muscles in the forearm, because you have rotators in the forearm as well. So whenever you change the position with these, then again it might feel like, oh okay, there's a particular area in there that feels like it's nicer to be, and you can find whichever point. And when I say nicer, you know that means it's a better stretch, not just nothing at all. So you're trying to hold it in that point where you feel a little bit more of that stretch, whatever angle that needs to be at. And then again, just let it go and let the hands shake out. Okay. So we're going to do one last one for there, just to finish off with. So we're going to do prayer position, but we're going to try to do it on our backs. So it's that position, but behind you, okay? So the sitting position you're in, if you need to change it, if it doesn't feel great for you there, okay? So with this, and I wouldn't say my flexibility is the best in this area, okay? But what you want to try to do is get the fingers touching. Maybe you're quite flexible this way, but with all the treatments that I do, my hands get very, very tight, so I find this quite tricky. So in terms of trying to get the heels of the hands together, again, that's your aim. We didn't fully get that on the front, so you might not fully get that on the back, but it's however high. I know people whose hands are right up here, so it's just trying to find that level of stretch again that feels appropriate for you. And you may be getting that a little bit more into the hands, potentially, whenever you take it in behind, or maybe into the shoulders. But it's just wherever you feel that you can take it to. So, again, they can be quite strong positions. I'm trying to keep the posture upright. And then slowly release the arms and just give them a little bit of a shake out. So hopefully that has released through the arms. May not ask for that one again, but even with the fingers, just let them kind of like roll through, almost like you're kind of strumming the table, just letting them kind of work through. And then can you go the other way? So it's easy to go little finger down, but can you then go maybe index finger up first? I was never a good piano player. Okay, and then give them another shake out. So hopefully that has been, again, we've covered the areas sort of working in through the glutes, front of the thighs, a little bit in through inside back thighs. So we've got all around there, again, that sort of deeper lower back area. And then hopefully, not so much in terms of the shoulders and the head this time, but hopefully getting down and through the arms. So hopefully you do feel the release from that to feel a little bit better.